I-5 drive. Some funky planes. Thought they were drones at first, and then it turned out to be the lights. But then I saw these aircraft. Hey, there's cold flyer airplanes around really low, close to the ground. That makes a lot of sense. That's how airplanes were designed for. We're traveling slowly close to the ground. I get proof of it every day. Everywhere I look, all the airplanes I ever see are flying really slow and really close to the ground, usually over highly populated areas. But nothing's coming out of the back of the airplanes. There's no trails or anything that I can see. Although my ears ring quite often as they approach, and what else? Oh, my skin creeps and crawls. A lot of times my joints will start to hurt. Yeah, my pulse will raise. I'll feel slightly, I don't know, what's it called, vertigo? Slight bit of vertigo. It's great. Keeps you on your toes. Thanks, Uncle Sam. You're helping her. You're helping her. If you're a Christian, they're helping you to meet Jesus. Sooner's better, right? Remember, the sooner you get your diagnosis, the sooner you can start receiving benefits. It's a good thing. Who knew? Who knew? Cancer was the answer. Wow. See, America really is number one in everything. Number one in heart disease. Number one in cancer. Number one in suicide. I can't say that on YouTube. On sideburn. On sideburn. Number one on sideburn. On Burnside. Like 8th and Burnside. Burnside. You don't want to be down on 8th and Burnside. It's not anymore. There used to be some dance places down around there. But I wouldn't go down in that part of Portland. Scary. Scary. Although it's privately. I have a theory about, the armed ghetto dwellers of the cities. And for all the scary movies and shows and BS drama, there's got to be at least, I don't know, in any large city in any given evening, there's got to be at least 50 to 250 gun, toting, safety off, kill whitey type of guys, doing their business downtown, and, strong arming people, doing whatever they do, I don't know, but gangster shit, right? But honestly, almost all of them make it through the night without shooting anybody, almost every night. So really, they're doing quite well, I would say, at, not, killing everybody. I think that there's a lot more deaths that come from the other side of the law enforcement than the other way around. Those don't make the news. We're not supposed to know about them. A lot of times, I'm sure it's more related to some sort of business they have going with them. Because, it's no. Alex Jones said a bunch of shit long ago that was actually true, but he had to in order to get the in with the crowd. One of the things he said it lots and lots of times, is that the police are the ones supplying the drugs. And I know that to be true because I've lived in the underworld. But I crawled up out from under the underworld and there was a manhole cover and I saw these turtles go through it. So up I went out the manhole cover. And now I'm here, but I can tell you that that's true now. Because of Operation North Star and other things like it. In what would that be? That was in the late 90s and the early 2000s. At least when it comes to the speed, the mess around Portland and Vancouver areas. There's undercover Operation North Star went on for quite a while. It wasn't so much a stop the drugs thing, it was a take over the drug market thing and identify all the people that were messing around. And I accidentally had to talk to one of them once because I got pulled over and, fuck, I don't remember his name now. He was a big movie about it. And he found my weed pipe. And he's like, that's all you got, huh? And I'm like, he was a sergeant, I think. Yeah, he was. Yeah, I say, yeah. It's like, I got a pipe too, but I smoke the other stuff. And he like smiles and walks off. Are you kidding me? I don't think he meant tobacco by the other stuff. But that's the high up popo for you. But, they live in a world where, they don't say anything and they all keep their mouth shut because they kill people. So do their, we just don't hear about it. Very rarely do we hear about it. They do on a regular basis. And not necessarily just indiscriminately, I don't mean that way, but, for whatever reason, they get the orders. They're just little minions. They don't even really do a job anymore. If they're driving around at all, they're just driving around doing what the computer tells them to do. It's probably been that way for a long time. If you really think about how, I'll go ultra conservative on the technology being withheld in, say, 20 years. Most people would say at least 40, at least 50, at least 60 years ago they had what we know about now. And maybe that's, entirely possible. It's quite possible that the highest levels of control in our world have had this technology since before any of them or us were even, since they were born in their families and in, secret local, all that good stuff. Maybe even lizard people. I heard from a Hell's Angel guy I used to know who's no longer walking the earth, but my cousin's friend, he said when he was a teenager he was at the Mormon temple in Salt Lake City, and his family's all Mormon, and he snuck off and was like looking around in different rooms, and he opened up one of the doors and looked in there, and just in time to see his human-sized, upright, walking lizard person with a robe and hood on. He just kind of saw the side of their face as they walked out of the room. And straight up, that's what he told me. I'll make it up. He could have been hallucinating, but it's when he was a teenager, not when he's older. Anyway, if I could remember all the stories I've heard, I could probably have a good story to tell. Put myself on the spot though, and then like, oh shit, what do I say? Some of the stories I just can't tell. To protect the guilty. Coming up on, let's call I can't stand the LED headlights. It's so stupid. The LEDs are, for energy saving. They're bad for your eyes, and then putting them on cars is where you're going to have them shining at your eyes the most. And then the whole thing about them saving power doesn't make a fucking bit of difference on your vehicle. I mean, what the fuck? Why can't we just have halogens? Then it would be like sunlight. Oh, some halogens are great. You gotta get some good bright ones for your high beam, for sure, but maybe a set of driving lights as well, but even that, the full wave spectrum is a lot less hard on the cranium and the back of your eyes, the retinas, all that. It's like pulsed compared to a smooth wave. Come on. Everybody knows a smooth wave's better than pulse. I think everybody should know that. A pulse isn't, you don't have a frequency. Well, you have a frequency pulse, but whatever the frequency is that you perceive and sound, at least. When you're listening to a CD or digital music, you hear the sound, but you don't perceive the pulse rate. It's going off and on and off and on. But it's doing it so fast, you can't hear it. There's a lot of people out there. It's not a revelation for people, but okay, so the difference between that and like a record would be that a record has that one continuous frequency pattern on in the groove, and it never gets interrupted. So it's like real life in that the sound wave is complete of all the sounds you hear on it. You can tell the difference when you play, a nice clean record on a nice record player in the way it feels. It doesn't really sound different. But you can kind of, I don't know, you can sense it. It's hard to describe. You gotta really listen to a real record to notice it though. And I think a cassette tape actually does the same thing, although cassettes aren't the best quality. Like a record, nice quality LP, vinyl record has better quality than most cassette tapes. Really good. But they're gone. Yeah, the pulse light is a weapon developed by the military as a weapon. And now it's being put in all the cars so everybody can blind each other with them while they're driving around. Cause glasses or something. Or create the glasses industrial complex, the vision industrial complex. It can go along with the other industrial complexes we have. Like the drug treatment complex and the drug treatment counseling, what do they call it? Industrial complex. It's like the reason that drugs are expensive is because of the illegality and the risk involved with all of that, with jails and cops and prisons and all that shit. So that's the reason they're expensive, and that there's people trying to sell them to make money. And if they weren't illegal, it's not like these things would be expensive otherwise. If they weren't illegal, they wouldn't be expensive, and because they weren't expensive, you couldn't make a bunch of money selling them because anybody could go get them for what, people who really wanted whatever their drug was could just go get it for cheap, and they wouldn't have to prostitute themselves or rob people or, steal, commit real crimes in order to get their drugs because they were cheap. And they would eventually, people with drug problems would just be, it wouldn't be a criminal court and let's ruin your life for the rest of your life thing. And we're going to pigeonhole you and convince you that you're this addict and you're this fucked up individual, and you always will be. So you just better do everything you're told and what the fuck ever, They wouldn't be expensive then, and so less people would actually be selling them, and the people who really wanted them would just go get them for whatever cheap and not have to do anything criminal to get them, and therefore we wouldn't have to be spending money and ruining people's lives and destroying homes and breaking up families and costing people their houses and their cars and their loved ones and their very lives in prisons and paying for it supposedly out of tax money, right? All that would go away. Oh, well, we can't have that. We need a prison industrial complex. There's a lot of money in the prisons, especially the ones coming up, the private prisons. There's probably underground prisons all the fuck around you. And that's the scariest of all, because it's like nobody could know you were there. It's just a field that goes on for, out in the boonies or something. It looks like there's an air vent every 4 acres or something. And that's it. And it holds, 50,000 underground. Don't be taken alive. That's what I would say. Oh shit. No way. No fucking way. Don't be taken alive. That's what the guy on Hard Truth Channel said. You know, for Christians, I like their channel. I I have some issues with the story of Christianity and just the way that the entire religion. I've been wanting to make a video on this, but I haven't yet, so I might as well lay the basics out real quick. Okay, so basis of Christianity is the New Testament, written by the Catholics, and this is what I've heard, okay, for the most part, in Constantine days or some shit like that. But anyway, that's not really the problem I have with it. I don't even need to go into what is supposedly true historical, things like that. What I think is that, where was I? Okay, my issue with Christianity as the story. Okay, that was just the New Testament. The Old Testament, we'll start there, right? I guess the two books got nothing to do with each other. They're totally polar opposite gods, except one is the Jews' book and one is the Christians' book. But the Christians adopt them both, and somehow they managed to simultaneously accept and believe both of these books at the same time. It's like two contradictory things, and espousing to believe them both simultaneously. That's kind of retarded. That you can't do that psychologically. I'm sorry. So you just have to ignore things about one or ignore things about the other in order to make them fit together somehow. But they don't. So that's just on the basis. So from then on, like, I see this sign a lot when I was a kid. It's still there. Quite often, once in a while. It's on I-5 going north, and it's so God gave His only begotten Son in order that you may not perish, something along those lines. And I always wondered, if God made everything in the universe and space and time and the possibility of life and all the life there is, well, first off, aren't we all His sons and daughters? But secondly, who told God He can only have one son? And then, furthermore, God was pissed off at the world because people were not doing the things He wanted them to, or doing things He didn't want them to. And He was going to have to kill everybody in the world again. But then He had this idea that, like, what if I send my only son, for some reason He could only have one, to Earth, and then I have him be killed in a sacrificial manner, publicly in this horrible way, then I won't have to kill everybody in the world. I mean, that makes a lot of sense, right? Two wrongs do make a right, according to God. People aren't doing what I want, and they're not doing what I don't want, or they're doing what I don't want, and they're not doing what I want. So I'm going to have to kill everybody in the world. But wait a minute. If I just send my son down there and kill him on Earth, that'll show him that I really care, or something along those lines. That's the closest I can come to thinking of some reasoning why God would have to send His only begotten Son to die for our sins, so that He didn't have to kill us, except that that's utterly retarded. So, I don't understand how the story is compelling in the very first place, because it's fundamentally but unbelievable and flawed. Like, its logic is not there. It has no logic in its basis, even if it does have good parables and morals and stuff that are in the literal meanings. And there's a lot of hidden stuff in the Bible that I've heard of too. I'm trying to remember it all right now, but it's there. It is an old book. It's, nearly as old as some of the other, not as old as the Vedas or the Upanishads, but, they're all kind of long-winded if you actually try to read them. But yeah, so who told God He can only have one son? And why does He have to send His son, who then later is conflated into being him, and then him and the Father are one, and then there's the Holy Spirit somehow ties in there too somewhere, but I think maybe the Catholics are just trying to convolute everything, so the more complicated it is, the easier it is to, maintain control. Nobody knows what the fuck you're doing or why. You just make up a new rule. This is how we're doing. Anyway, watching the traffic here. My voice. So yeah, those are some decent questions I think to ask. I mean, I've got other ones too, but whenever any Christian people, want to know what my questions might be, there's some questions I know they can't answer. And they're like, oh no, give me a try, shoot. No, really. My questions aren't about like the stories of the Bible or what, how did Jesus walk on water or something, It's, or which one's a metaphor and which isn't. It's like fundamentally underneath that level. The entire premise of the story doesn't make sense. And then it's all about the blood. The blood of Christ washed you by the blood, right? Lots of blood. And, people just, if the blood is so sacred, it tells you over and over how sacred your blood is, and yet people just go down to good old doctor whoever, be like, stick the needle in me, doc, take on a bunch of my blood, I need some money, that's for plasma, or take my blood, do some testing, now tell me if I'm sick, I don't know, I don't feel too well sometimes I don't feel good, doctor, will you take my blood, please, and tell me if I'm gonna be okay? Why, certainly. Roll up your sleeve. Doctors love syringes. They just do. They love them. That's why they have so many different injections, and they want to take your blood all the time. For Swiss Cross, the American Cross, the Red Cross, the Blood Red Cross, right? There's their bloodmobiles, so they can go out and get some blood for their masters. Yes, sir. I brought you all the blood from all the humans in the city. Good job, Igor. Go get more now. I don't know. I'm losing there. My throat hurts. I've said too much. The chemtrails are fucking getting to me too. It's really bad down here in Salem generally. Hey, look, an airplane flying slowly at a couple thousand feet. Wow. How interesting. Did you know that airplanes were designed to fly slowly at low altitudes over cities? We're transporting goods and taking people places slowly over town in airplanes. We fly extra slow so that we save on fuel, and then not having to fly way up high in the sky, And everybody wants to fly on a jetliner nowadays, especially slowly over town. Why not?